I just built a content automation system that replaces an entire marketing and content team. And I'm going to show you exactly how it works step by step. We've used versions of this for clients doing 20 plus posts a week. And this exact one has brought in over $30,000 in tracked content revenue. No full-time content strategist, no ghostwriters, no bottlenecks, just fully running on autopilot and without any manual touch. So let me show you how it works. Over here, as we can see, this is the Airtable database where we have all our scraped content, all the top performing posts, stuff that is already performing really well. And below this, as we can come over here, we have the common sentiment analysis to figure out what the audience is actually thinking. Are they hyped? Are they skeptical? Are they asking for alternatives? And this section over here is actually where the magic happens. As we can see, we get an entire content blueprint. We get the audience summary, the content type, the production difficulty, the viral hooks, and the emotional triggers that led to the audience resonating and having a call to action, where in this case, they were commenting, they were liking the post. And if we come over here to the content blueprint, and let's just give it a sec to open up, it is a ready-made Google Doc, completely running on autopilot, that as we can see, it is perfectly formatted. Just give it a sec, yes, with the product summary, the viral song it went famous with, the content type, the production difficulty, the emotional triggers, the hook, the script, call to action, the audience avatar that we scraped from the previous scraping tool that we showed previously, the audience insights, the repurpose angle, the TikTok and Instagram captions, 8 compartments, 0 clutter, let's go. This Amazon find is actually genius. We get the ready-made hashtags that we know for a fact went viral, in this case, the SEO intro and the pro tips. So let's give this a close and let's take a look at the exact automation that is actually powering this. So I know it looks really simple on the outside, so let me zoom out a little bit, but that is a really big misunderstanding in the space after having been in it and worked with over 50 businesses, that every scenario needs to be incredibly complex. It needs to be looking like a spaghetti with 5 different routers and all these little loops going around and back and forth. So 2 things I want to bring highlight to are, number 1, enrich the products. I'm going to go into the prompts very quickly, and then we generate the documents in ATX format, or also known as Markdown format, where we then convert the Markdown to HTML, and that's what allows us to get these exact Google Docs where everything is perfectly formatted. As you can see, there's nuance to this. This is bolded. This is bolded in a smaller size. We have everything perfectly set up. Because when you're just creating systems for clients and businesses, the optics and the user experience matters just as much as how good the automation actually is. Most people would just go into an LLM and they would just tell GPT, hey, generate me a document. And that doesn't work, right? We want to be separating and giving AI different use cases in different scenarios, rather than throwing everything into one giant prompt and then wondering why the output came out looking like it was from a high school club or something. So let's take a look at how the system works exactly. So first, I just want to bring and test the first system that we have over here, which in this case, we're enriching the products. So let's zoom out on this. And if we take over here, so in step number 1 is, see, let's think about it. We already have all the information about the captions as we can come in the scraped content. And if we come to sentiment analysis and we open this up, we can see we already have the overall sentiment, the helpfulness, the common questions, the key insights. We have, in this case, we have a URL image as well. We have the captions that we already scraped. We already have so much information. And now what we want to be doing is we want to enrich this information to really smart and intelligent prompting techniques. So what we do over here is we essentially use the developer user assistant prompt system, and we give it a simple role. We tell it you're a specialized content AI intelligence assistant with expertise in analyzing and structuring viral product content data for marketing teams. A really, really smart way to take unstructured data and convert it to structured data is something known as JSON structuring, which is essentially a JavaScript object. And what that allows us to do is take unstructured data, where we're filling it with all types of information. If we come to the prompt, we have the captions, we have the transcript, we have the aggregated audience comments, key insights from user interactions, and the overall sentiment score. And now we output it into bundles of individual columns that we can later fill on into Airtable. So let me give it a run, and demonstrating this visually will actually make the most sense. So if we let it run once really quickly, we can see that now if we open the output and we go over to results, we can see that now we have the product title, the product summary, the viral hook line, the script, the CTA, the content type, the production difficulty. In this case, we're getting the emotional triggers in an array, right? And we're getting the audience avatar summary in the age, the likely interest, the mood, SEO tips. So this is what JSON formatting allows us to do. And if we go back over to the prompt, and as we can see, we give it some guidelines. Do not invent new data. Use all the provided inputs, and your goal is to create structured data that helps marketers and creators repurpose and improve and strategically leverage this content, as we can see. Then we give it the exact input types that we want for the content type. Because if we come to the Airtable database and we come back over here, we can see that it is a single select field, the content type in this case, and we have these options. And if you ever use make.com and Airtable and you're using single select fields, you must have noticed that if you're trying to update a record in make.com, you cannot create a new single select field from make.com. It needs to be something that is already existing, or the entire automation is just going to break. So that is why we have these exact fields, and then we come back over here and we tell it, choose only one of the following options written exactly and include the emoji. Why? Because like I said, we just like having a really nice UI UX experience for the clients. So that is why we added these emojis over here. And the reason we tell it to just generate one is because it's a single select field. If you do a multiple select field, which if we come over here, we can see the emotional triggers, there are multiple of them, right? If we zoom in, we can see there are a lot of, and I can come here and I can add every single one I want. So that is what a multiple select field is. And let's come back to the prompt. So as we can see, we have emotional triggers select up to 3. Again, once again, we give it exactly what we want it to do. And then we tell it, your JSON must be looking like this, where we give it the field we want, the product title, and we give it descriptions, the product summary, the viral hook line, the script, the CTA. And over here, as we can see, the emotional triggers up to 3. If you notice this is an array that we're defining over here. Empty array if none is applied. Then we get the age range, we get the SEO tips, and we get the different information that we want to be taking a look at. And then these are the exact inputs that we provide into it. So after this, what happens is, if we connect it, we see that we go number 1 to the user profile, where we're using a text aggregator. And the reason we're using a text aggregator is because, let's first click into this. If we see, we're aggregating the age, the likely interest, and the audience mood. Because if we come back to the GPT response, we can see that if we come over here, we have a collection where we have individual fields of age range, likely interest, and audience mood. And if we simply just copy paste this into Airtable, it's not going to render all of them. Or we're going to have to make individual columns for age range, likely interest, and audience mood. But what I wanted something like this. So if we come back, we can see that it's all already parsed below each other in one single field. So this is exactly what we do with the text aggregator over here, where we simply put the source module as the enriched products from the GPT module, and we come over here to text and we enter age range. This is manually entered, and then we enter the exact input, which in this case is, if we come back over here, the age range, the likely interest, and the audience mood. And we want to be turning on show advanced settings, where the row separator is a new row. So every single time it'll create a new row out of it. And then what we do is we simply save the variable, and we call it audience profile. And in this case, the variable value is text, which is coming from, if we come back over here, this one over here, which is the previous module by the text aggregator. Then what we do is we go to the next flow in the router, which is we first extract that variable, which is the audience profile. And this is really what I would call the cheat code, or where the magic really happens. This exact module, this is what lets us do some really, really cool stuff and get these exact looking beautiful content briefs that we're looking for, and something that is actually applicable in a real life business environment. So if we come over here and let's make this full size. So we say you're a professional copywriter for a premium e-commerce and content strategy platform, and your task is to take structured input data about a viral video and output it in well-formatted Markdown documents. So if you guys do not know what Markdown format is, this is essentially what Markdown format is. So if we come back over here, I opened this really cool website over here. So we have over here headings. So heading number 1. So if we have one hashtag, it converts it to HTML with the H1 tag. And this is what it looks like on the output side in a Google document, the rendered output. And then if we put 2 hashtags, then we get a smaller size, which is H2. 3 hashtags is H3, 4, and we keep getting smaller until the paragraph level. And then what I can also do is, if we come over here to a brand new Google document, so let's enter hashtag. As you can see, it becomes big. So this is heading 1 if we take a look over here. To summarize, if we want heading 1, we put 1 hashtag, and as you can see, it gets big. If we want heading 2, we put 2, and now it's heading 2 over here. If we put 3, then it's even smaller than that. And that's how we create this hierarchical flow that is really appeasing on the eyes and easy for a human to come through and quickly scan through the document. If we want, let's say, a bold, so then what we do is we do double asterisk, we type something, and as we can see, it's bolded now. And if we want italics, we just do a single asterisk. And as we can see, it is italicized. And this is exactly how we create these similar looking documents where we have, you can see we're highlighting the project summary, the viral song, the headers, and then the viral hook, it is italicized. And we can see we have bullet points over here. So coming back to the prompt, as we can see, we tell it, we also give it the context that your document will be converted to HTML for presentation. So please pay close attention to the structure, spacing, hierarchy, and minimal use of bolding. So as we can see, we once again feed in all the different inputs, and now we're giving it the output format. So if you remember, a single hashtag over here means heading 1. And this directly correlates to, if we come back to the Google document, we can see it is heading 1 over here. And if we come down over here, we can see the product summary where we have 2 bold items, right? We have double asterisk. So that is why this is bolded over here. Then we have something known as @NBSP. So if we copy this and search it into Google, essentially this is a line break. This is like a break statement in HTML. So this is what actually allows us to later on generate the spaces between everything, because otherwise everything would end up looking exactly like this. This is how the entire thing would end up looking. And this is not really ideal, I would say. Like I said, optics are incredibly important, and we want our customers to be having the best experience when they're using these tools. So if we come over here, then we have the viral hook, we have the polished video script, and we have these 3 lines. So these 3 lines is actually what allows us to then get this line over here to break apart different sections. So here we have the summary, then we have the content ideas, the script, and then we have the audience avatar, and then we have the captions and more actionable information. So I'm actually going to be sharing the exact make.com template. So feel free to download the template and go through the prompt in a lot more depth. But as we can see, another really important thing is we ask it to do not include backticks or markdown code blocks. Because in this case, when you often tell GPT or any LLM to output markdown, it has a tendency to output double, triple backticks. And that's actually going to end up leading to the markdown to HTML module breaking up, because it is not real markdown format. That is just something that the LLMs output. And the reason we're converting it from markdown to HTML in this case is, as we open the Google document, we can see that this parameter supports HTML format. So as we come back over here, we can see that all we want to be doing is, let me open this. We want to be taking it from markdown format and converting it to HTML format, and then this lets us get the rendered output, which Google Documents is naturally going to do by itself if it is in legitimate HTML format. So coming back over here, let's give the exact system a run now. And I want to show first what the HTML looks like, or sorry, the markdown format. So let's unlink this and let's give it a run once again. So now what we're going to be getting is just the ATX format, or the markdown format in this case. So let's give it a sec. And as we can see over here, if we go to results, we can see this is perfect, right? This is exactly the right markdown format we wanted. As we can see, it's a single header. So we get the heading, then this is bolded. Then we have the @NBSP. So that's going to make sure that there's a line break between them. We get the viral songs, the content type, production difficulty. And then if we connect this now that we have this, why don't we connect the entire flow and see how this actually functions? So let's give this a run. Let's click on run once. And yes, the reason I really wanted to make this video is not just how cool and effective the system has been for us, the clients we work with, and the businesses, but also to really highlight on the importance of creating efficient and simple systems. Being completely honest over here, the most amount of money I've made myself selling these services, and for the clients we work with, helping them scale up, whether it be on the sales side of things, the content, simple automations like a one-click onboarding automation. They've always been incredibly simple systems, not crazy spaghetti looking noodles, not 100 things going around. It is linear and it is deterministic, literally left to right. So now if we come back over here and we click on the Google Doc, let's click on the web view link and let's give it a shot. And as we can see, this is exactly how we went. So if we think about the flow, we went from ATX format, converting it to HTML format, then rendering that HTML in the Google Docs module. And this is exactly how we got a production ready that you can ship to your team, to different businesses, and to the internal marketing team, so they're not overwhelmed. And as we can see, we get everything over here. Let's take a look at the captions. Wait, are we frying? Okay, some of these captions are really good. This latte pen is doing too much. Okay, the emoji's fine. Nice. Yeah, these gadgets are genius or totally unhinged. You decide. Well, okay, I like that. I like the angle they used over there. Want to boost? Let's look at the pro tip. Want to boost engagement? Use long tail keywords. Okay, so yeah, this one was to give us specific keywords that we want to be using. Weird Amazon gadgets. Okay, weird. And why is it? It helps your content show up in niche searches and makes your videos easier to find for curious scrollers. Okay. Yeah, man, this stuff is really cool. Like, we've been developing these kind of systems for well over 6 months, 7 months now. And our entire system that we actually have used for a lot of clients is like a complete end-to-end system. And what we're actually getting now into is UGC creation. That's the last thing I really want to tackle. And we already have all the information. So now we need to use this to create some really good UGC automated content. And I know how to do it. I'm just creating the system in the backend, and it's a lot of hit and trial because editing with the green screens, making sure that the voiceover with 11 Labs Pro is making sense, and HeyGen as well. HeyGen is a complete pain in the ass at times. But either way, guys, I actually created a complete 55-minute breakdown of how to create the system you see over here, which is scraping the content on autopilot based on whatever inputs you do, be it TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, with the exact hashtags and profiles you're looking for. I'll link it in the description. It is a complete breakdown, actually, a 55-minute walkthrough, so you can create the exact system from scratch. And for this one, I'm going to be sharing the make.com template, as we can see over here in the comments. And if you're really serious about leveling up in the space and making money from it, I would really recommend that do not just try to copy automations, but rather download that template and try to reverse engineer it. I would say, like, look at the prompts and then delete everything from scratch and recreate it yourself. At least that is what worked for me, because there's a plethora of unlimited templates and just free resources available. But at the end of the day, working with businesses and being incredibly impactful and driving real results for them, it depends on your skill set, your problem solving ability, and not really just about how quickly you can just bust up a make.com automation. It's really about problem solving, and problem solving from the perspective with the least resistance, creating a system that is predictable, that is going to drive them real results. And if you're a business owner or a marketing team that is running content at scale, we've built systems exactly like these for over 50 plus businesses at this point, all the way from scraping and getting viral ideas to converting all types of and generating insights out of them, generating viral scripts, and then auto publishing and repurposing it across all different social media platforms, specifically being LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. And what it allows you to do is create content at mass scale, high quality content without burning out and without having manual human intervention and bottlenecks. So there's actually a link in the description to book a call, and we would love to get on call and build something customized like this for your business that allows you to scale more efficiently without adding manual headcount. So either way, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and do let me know what kind of other videos, ideas, or just problems that you're trying to face, and I'll try to create a solution like that. Either way, peace.